Go with the cloud.
Okay, we're recording. Let me just share my screen. Was it not? Yeah.
There we go.
PowerPoint mode. Go into slide. Oh. Right. Oh, I've not let everyone in.
No, you can do that now, can't you?
Participants. Admit all. There we go. Everyone's joining.
Excellent. Yeah, I can see everybody coming in now, which is great.
There we go. Everyone's in.
Yeah, we've got everyone.
How do you turn the volume up, Al?
Welcome, everyone. We're just going to, as usual, we're just going to give it a couple of minutes just for people to join.
I thought it was up there.
Looks like we've got quite a few people to see. Okay, 1 minute and then we will get started. For those who've not attended one before, I'll just run through a couple of things and then pass over to our presenter for this evening. Yeah, here we are. So it's 7:32, so we will begin. Welcome, everybody. I'm Lawrence, the General Manager at Lely Centre Midlands. Welcome to our webinar. We think it's our 6th or 7th webinar. We mix them around. We come up with new ideas and suggestions from people. So if you do have them, then do pass them on. They're all recorded, so you can pick them up and listen to them at another time. Or if you do need to disappear, feel free and you can pick it up later. A couple of requests from us. If you can, keep it on mute while the presentation is going on, just to minimize the background noise. But if you have a question and it's really pertinent to that slide, or it's on your mind, just ask. You know, the presenter's happy to take questions during. We will have a session at the end for Q&A. So if you want to wait till then. And for those who may be new to Zoom, you do have the option, you can ask a question online as well. So there'll be a comments box where you can put a question in there. And we'll be keeping our eye on that. And we'll get round to all the questions. So that's it really from our side. That's all we ask. I'll just introduce our presenters. So we've got Izzy Lester. Izzy is part of the farm management support team, has grown up around robots, has had them at home for 13 or more years, introduced a vector system, the automatic feeding system this year as well, and her prior experience with Junos, and they've got car machines and a whole host of Lely products at home. So yeah, very, very well experienced for somebody of Izzy's years. And yeah, Izzy will tell us a lot more tonight about T4C, but mainly focusing on fertility and the modules around that. T4C, as you'll all know, is quite a big piece of software. There's so much to it. There's even more coming. So we'll just do it in bite-sized chunks for now and try and cover as much as we can. So thank you again for attending. I'll probably speak to you at the end. I will now pass over to Izzy to take over. Thank you very much. Over to you, Izzy.
Thank you, Lawrence. So as Lawrence said tonight, we're going to talk about T4C, kind of start off with some more basic things, just going through reports, and then towards the end I'll focus more into your fertility and how you can improve your fertility, kind of using T4C as a tool. So so just a bit about tonight. So we'll start talking about a little bit about the centre, T4C, the dashboards, kind of the libraries, just make sure you are happy with inputting data. And then there's a little bit of an update on the LDN controller, the fertility and the fertility module. So yeah, we are 21 people now at Lely Centre Midlands, so we're growing quite quickly at the moment. The main hub is in Stafford, where the little Lely logo is on the map, and you can see where we've got all our engineers based kind of across our area. You'll recognise most people on the team picture if you're one of our clients. If you're not, that's kind of a mixture of office staff, sales, the engineers. And yeah, we've got about 250 astronauts installed now across our area, 8 vector tubs up and running, and we've got 20 collectors installed and more waiting to go in. So yeah, we're constantly growing and constantly expanding. So on to T4C. T4C is a management tool, and if you're new to it, or you've had it for a while, you know that the information that it gives you is very different to what you would get for a milking parlour. Most people kind of just get their milk recording results, but with T4C it can really help give you so much more information to your cows and about your herd that you may not have seen before, and it gives you on like a daily basis, milk like per milking, and then it really helps to provide such a good insight into your herd. And by checking it every day, you can quickly notice things that are happening in your herd, whether it be good or bad, and it helps you to act on it quickly. And like I said, it'll give you kind of information from every milking, every day. Obviously, the longer you have it on, the more information it builds up and the more it learns your cows, your herd, and it helps you learn more about them as well. So the first thing on T4C is the dashboard. So this is your homepage, and it gives you a kind of a really quick insight into what's going on in your herd, so that all the little dials are constantly moving throughout the day. The first number under the dial without the brackets is kind of your 24-hour kind of more what's going on here and now, and then the number in your brackets is your 7-day rolling average, just so that you can kind of see, you know, if your milk crashes, as long as your 7-day average isn't going down too quickly, or you can kind of see the norms of what's going on, and it's good to compare the two against each other so you can see what's kind of going on, if things are going good or bad. And then above all your dials, you have the attentions. So on here, you can see that this farm has a feed attention, and it's good, especially if you're new to robots and kind of new to, you may not feed concentrates through your parlour. This gives you a good indication. It stops you from like running out. Also on here you get like liner attentions and brush attentions, so it helps you, like telling you when to change them to make sure they're not being used to too many milkings, to help them perform to the best of their ability. And then you've also got your favourite reports, which you can add to and take away. It's kind of just like a quick access to those reports that you might want to look at every day, or twice a day, 3 times a day, quick access to them. So the dials at the moment are for a whole herd, but you can break it down into groups. So whatever groups you've got set up. So most people have cows and heifers, so you can see how they're getting on, compare one against the other, make sure that everything's going well. And then you can also break it down by location, which is done kind of per robot, or if you've got different sheds set up, just so you can kind of see you can compare like however many robots you've got against each other. And if you think that there's a problem with one robot, or you think it'll help you isolate where a problem might be coming from. So you might have a box time increase on one robot, and you can kind of narrow down which one it is there. And then moving on, if this catches up. Yeah, like I said, it just helps. And oh yeah, at the moment there's either like a little green or red dot on each dial, and they flash. If it's flashing red, it means you haven't clicked into it. So you can click onto these dials and it gives you more information. And then you can also, usually from there, it'll link you to a report. And then also for each cow on T4C, you'll have a cow card. So this is her individual information, and you can see all the little tabs. So at the moment, this is animal data, and there's feeding and milk quality. So here you can just find out the information that is about that certain cow. You can see what group she's in, if she's inseminated. It's all just her information. And then moving on to the reports, so I've kind of just here picked out the most important reports. So the first one is the health report. So this will depend slightly on kind of what spec robot you've got and what collars you have. And then the parameters you can see down the side, and the ones with the star are the ones that depend on what robots you've got. So it's always monitoring your cow and the milk and what she's doing. And as soon as it's not what her normal is, then it starts to kind of think that there might be something wrong, and it'll bring her up on this report. So, you know, you need to check this report at least twice a day to make sure that you're not missing any cows. And then you can see her sick chance. So that's between like 0 and 100. And obviously the higher the number, the kind of more severity of the sickness and that there's something wrong with that cow. But you can see here why it's on the report, and then you can go and look at her and see what's going on. And it's just a really good way to help you manage your herd and pick up anything that isn't normal and that could be wrong with that cow. And then the collect cow report, something that everyone should look at least twice a day. And on here, you've got any cows that haven't been milked for a certain amount of time. And it depends on your settings as to how frequently or when they come up on this report for their hours away. Anything that's been away for more than 100 hours will drop off this report. And on here you can kind of see a bit of information about the cow. You can, if you click on where it says animal number, it sorts them by animal number. At the moment this is sorted by away, so you can click in any of those headings across the top and it'll sort it by however you want to see it. And you can also click on the actual animal number and it will take you to her cow card, and it will take you to the information about her, so you can kind of see when she was last milked. And if a cow has failed, she will, and you kind of think you put her through but she might have failed, she'll stay on this report because she's not had a successful milking. And then yeah, you can kind of see a little bit of information about them as well. But this is something that you should look at when you're doing your collecting morning and evening. And you can also have this report put on your E-links and X-links on your robot. So if your kind of office isn't close to your robots, or you've got them spread out or whatever, you can get these reports put on there, just so you can have quick access to them wherever you are. And then the other health work list. So there's two reports that are very similar, which is report 12 and report 23. So this is report 12, and this has brought up anything that it's kind of detected an issue with, and it brings them up onto here. But report 23, so after 24 hours, they drop off this report and go on to report 23, and they stay on report 23 until it's detected that the problem's gone away. So it's equally as important to look at report 12 as it is to look at report 23 to make sure that you're not missing anything. And then on the side, I've just kind of put the conductivity ranges so that people have like a rough idea of what conductivity represents, because most people don't come across it until you get your robots. And just so that you like can note, and you can see it gives you conductivity per quarter, and then cell count indication. It depends if you have cell count indication, depending on if you have them on your robots or not. If not, it will just, those two columns aren't in this report. And then yeah, also says if she's failed, kind of what's going on with her milk, if she's got mastitis, if it's watery, if it's just abnormal compared to obviously that cow's normal. And then yeah, also shows if they've failed or not. And then one of the probably most important reports on T4C is failed milkings. So this is a cow that's kind of gone into the robot, and for whatever reason, she hasn't had a successful milking. So you might think, oh, I pushed her in, she's milked, I'll be fine. But it's really important that you check this report kind of when you check your collect cow report as well, if not 3 times, 4 times, to make sure that cows aren't going too long without a successful milking. And it gives you the reason as to why the milking has failed. So connection time, there's obviously, it could be that just that the laser's dirty, or it could be the cow's kind of got closed teats or cross teats. And you'll know, the longer you kind of have robots, the more you realise, okay, I see why this cow's failed, especially if they've got cross teats. You kind of expect them to be on the report, and they come up quite regularly. And then you've got box time. Dead milk time is them not letting their milk down quick enough. So if you've got like a cow that you brought into the robot for the first time, or a heifer, and they're just a bit nervous, they're not going to let that milk down. That's what dead milk time represents. And then also on here, if she's had a successful milking, so they stay on the report even if they've had a last milking was successful, it puts a little X in the column that's last milking successful, so that you know actually she's fine, she's been milked successfully. But on this report, on this example here, none of the cows have had a successful milking or come back round, and they stay on this report for 24 hours even if they've had a successful milking. Herd overview is a really nice report. It just kind of gives you almost like a daily summary. It's a really good one to kind of spot trends or patterns. If you have an issue, you can kind of use this report to look back when it kind of might have started. And it's really nice to just kind of keep an eye on things and make sure things are kind of where you expect them to be. And that it just, allows you to quickly see kind of what's going on. You can make more days appear, or you can kind of change the dates that appear on here. So you could break it down to kind of like a month if you want to look at a whole month once. So say now we're just starting into July, you could change it so you're just looking at June, and so on, and kind of keep an eye on things. And then heat probability, we will come on to this later in our fertility, but this is to obviously help guide you to which cows you should be looking at to inseminate. So the top image is the report, so you can kind of see the cow number, where she is, her reproduction status, what her heat probability chance is, and then the little yellow and green bar is to do with the optimum moment of insemination. So if the dot is in the green, that's the optimum moment. The yellow is kind of okay, but the green is the best time. And below I've just put an image of this is taken from a cow card, so this is her individual kind of heat graph. So you can see here that she's had a spike, she's had a heat, she's gone over the threshold of the green line, which is set at 20 kind of out of 100. So as soon as a cow's heat goes over that 20, it puts her onto the heat probability report. And on here you can see their ruminations and activity, as well as milk production. So you can kind of see that when she's had a heat, her ruminations have dropped down, and then as soon as the heat's over, they recover straight away. And that's just, so that's her individual heat. And you can get to that by clicking on the animal number from the report. Just so you can double check that she's having a heat, and you can see when she had her last heat and make sure everything is okay. And then another good report to look at, especially if you're kind of pushed for free time, is cow robot efficiency. So this is one of my favourite reports to look at, and it gives you the box time, so you can see on average how long a cow is in the box per milking, and then their day production. So you can see your kind of, here is the least inefficient, well, is the cows with the longest box time. It allows you to see which cows are efficient, which cows are inefficient. And if you're pushed for free time, you maybe need to consider why their box time is so high. Is it to do with their connection time? Are they just got a slow milk speed? But yeah, obviously the longer a cow takes up in the box, you know, in that time, so in the top cow here for 21 minutes, you could fit 3 milkings in, depending on what your average box time is. So it's a good report to look at to kind of see what's going on and how things could be improved and how your efficiency could be improved, especially if you 3 times below 10%. It's a nice one to look at, see what's going on. And then you can also look at the treatment time of the cow. So that's sorted by box time, but if you click on treatment time, you can see which cows are taking the longest to do treatment time. And treatment time is from when they come into the box until it's connected. So it does include that connection time. So if they've got a high treatment time, it could be that it's struggling to connect. So it's another good one to look at, and it helps you kind of identify the cows you might need to watch be milked, or kind of find out why they're taking longer than your average cow. And then milking robot performance. So this breaks it down per robot. So this farm has 3 robots, and it gives you kind of a daily overview of what's going on in each robot, how many cows it's milked, how much that single robot, how much milk that one single robot has gone, like, processed through it, and then number of cows, and you can kind of compare here. So you can see the average milk time for robot 2 has increased, and it helps you indicate that there might be a little bit of a problem with that robot, and to go and kind of have a look. And you kind of want them obviously to be very similar. You'll always have some robots that have higher visits than others, depending on how they're placed, and cows having their favourite one, and kind of what side they are, if they're right-handed or left-handed. And you'll find that some cows just always go to the same one, but you kind of want them to be similar across the board, so that they're working to the best of their ability. Just a quick one on libraries. So libraries is kind of where you put quite a lot of information that helps make your life a little bit easier. So especially with the medicines, adding the medicines in is really, really good. It means that you can then tell T4C that you've treated a cow and what you've treated it with, and then it helps populate other reports within T4C. And then from putting in the medicine information, it knows how long to keep the milk out for, and it kind of does that. And as soon as the milk withdrawal is passed, it automatically puts it back in. So to add your medicines in, you go data entry and libraries, and then onto the medicine tab, and then you can just see the report at the bottom is a report that's been populated by putting in all these different medications. You've got the disease name, kind of what they were treated with, when they were treated, how much of each one, just so you can kind of see what you're treating most frequently, and kind of then if you've got something that you think, actually I'm using a lot of this, you can kind of look into why, and why you're using certain medicines more than others. And then from medicines you can make treatment plans. So treatment plans kind of are a combination of medicines. So if you've got something that you're doing regularly, so if you dry off cows, so this farm here mainly has them for drying their cows off, depends on how the cow has been in the lactation. It just means that instead of entering in 3 or 4 medicines that you've given her, if you create a treatment plan, you just say, I've treated her with this treatment plan, and it knows everything about it. It knows how long to keep the milk out for if it needs to. It just makes it a little bit quicker for you and a little bit more efficient, because once they're set up, they're done, and you can make as many as you want. Most people just make them for the things that they kind of treat for most frequently. And now on to fertility. So a lot of T4C relies on you putting the information in. So what you put in really helps with what comes out of it. And especially with fertility, making sure that you've got all your information in will really help with your results coming out of it. So a little bit about reproduction. Obviously you want your cows to be fit and healthy, under no stress, no recent health issues. Obviously everyone knows that a healthy cow, she's going to hold in calf, or she will gain calf quicker and easier. You want a nice relaxed cow for when you're trying to get her in calf, and you know, with having robots, that really does help improve reducing the amount of stress in the herd. Each cow, there's no rushing in milking times, and not having to stand up for a long time waiting to be milked. Kind of each cow has her routine, she knows what she's doing, there's the amount of stress is reduced, which obviously helps keep cows in calf and helps get cows back in calf. And then just creating a nice healthy cow, good body condition, good feed, kind of just creating obviously the best environment you can for that cow will really help with your reproduction. Obviously fertility is so important in dairy farming. It is what drives the whole herd, the whole cycle, getting more milk, and then obviously improved fertility. If you've got a few more calves than you maybe should, or it means that you can then kind of look at which cows, if you've got lots of heifers coming in, you can maybe take out some of those older cows and look at how you can improve your herd there. And then from having better reproduction results, it helps improve kind of lifetime production of a cow and number of calves per year, giving you obviously more choice of what cows you want to have in the herd. And then just for the Quez LD controller, so obviously this depends on if you have this, but this is something that reads the cow data. So normally without these, the cow data is kind of only really read when she comes into the robot, but by having these readers, it helps pick up that information every 2 hours, and this is the area that it covers, but it is affected, the area that it covers, depending on if there's any like obstacles in the way, or if you've got like another building that might slightly be in its way, or steel upright, anything like that can affect the range that it has. But this is just to show you the range that it does have. And then if you want to kind of make the area bigger, you can get more antennas if you've got it so that you want it to cover your dry cows or your heifers, so you can pick up their heat, say. You can angle it differently or move that around. And then this is the new LDN kind of controller. So this doesn't have the antenna, it's all kind of built into one box, but this is only compatible with the HR LDN tags, and still covers the same area, but it's just kind of the new version of it. So to help fertility, one of the things you can have is the reproduction module, which a majority of people do have. It is an optional extra, but most people do seem to have this. And it gives you kind of 4 extra reports, and then it gives you this little image that I've got here, so you can see what's going on in your herd, and you can change, so you can either have it like 30 days or the last quarter or the year. So it allows you to kind of compare what's going on kind of at the moment compared to what has been going on. And you can look for where you might want to try and make improvements and kind of set yourself little targets. And it just gives you a good overview of what is going on as a whole for your herd. And then one of the really good little reports that the reproduction module gives you is this cow actual status. So each dot on here is a different cow, and you can see along the bottom kind of what the different colours represent, and you can see lactation days and milk yield. So this kind of helps you know what's going on with each cow, and then it also helps you see, you know, if you've got an open cow, say she's 200 days into lactation and she's kind of just slipped through, you can spot her really quickly on here, and it helps you kind of just keep an eye on your herd and making sure that everything's in calf when it should be, and that you've got inseminated and pregnant, and you've got a good, especially if you're all year round calving, you want your dots to kind of populate all the way across this report. You might have times that you've got obviously higher spikes and more dots within a certain area, and then you can also see kind of when you may have an influx of cows calving, or or when you've got kind of fewer, depending on what your calving pattern is. But it's just a good report to see what is going on kind of quickly across your herd. And if you click on a dot, it will take you to her cow card, so you can then find more information about what's going on if she's gone too far through. And on this report, it won't show your barren cows. So on T4C, barren cows are called keep open cows. Just a little thing to be aware of. But it won't show them. And it's quite important that you keep that, you put your keep open cows in, because it'll stop them coming up in reports that you don't want to see them on. And then kind of 2 reports that can help fertility is the calendar overview all cows, which is the top image. So you can see the reproduction status, when she was inseminated, how many days pregnant, when she's going to, her expected calving date, if she's dried off, if she's in lactation. It will show you that for every cow in your herd. So you can sort that by however you want by clicking on those at the top of the column. So you can see, say you wanted to look at all the cows you've got inseminated, you click on reproduction status and it'll bring that to the top for you. And then the bottom image is the reproduction check. So this is a report and it brings up any cows that it thinks it needs to be checked. So you can see that 309 was inseminated. It's been 42 days since she's inseminated. She needs a pregnancy check. And then the bottom cow has brought it up because she is 442 days since she was last inseminated, but she's also had an abortion. So it's saying that she needs to be checked because she is cycling and she is open. So it's just to kind of help guide you which cows you need to look at for reproduction checking. And then, as I showed you before, this is the activity graph for the cow. You can see that she's had 2 really big heats on the 25th of the 5th, and then probably on the around the 19th of the 6th. So you can see here, but what you can change is the heat probability threshold. So for this farm it's 20, for some farms it's 25. It kind of depends on how your cows show your heat. If they're quite subtle and the spikes are much smaller, we can lower your threshold, and then obviously as soon as they hit that threshold it puts them onto the report to show you when to inseminate them. So if you think that you're not getting quite enough heats that maybe you should be, maybe we can look at lowering that threshold, so it'll put a few more cows on that report for you. But that obviously depends on your cows and how they show their heats, and if they go obviously running around the barn like you can see this one has here, or if they're quite subtle. And then onto the heat probability report. So as soon as she hits that threshold of the green line on this report, it puts them straight onto here for you. And it ranges from 0 to 100, and you can see on this cow that she's kind of hit 55, so it's really clear that she's having a heat. And then the best thing about this one is it kind of shows you the optimum insemination moment. So this whole bar represents 25 hours. So the first little yellow one is 3 hours, and then you've got 19 hours, and then you've got another 3 hours at the other end. And obviously you could recheck this report once a day, but by doing it twice a day, you're more likely to get them in that optimum moment for the insemination. And then just a little note for anyone that has the LDN controller, the algorithm behind this dot and report has moved, but we'll come on to that. I've got a little bit more information for you, but you might notice that your dot doesn't move as quickly, or that it moves back, but that's because it's got a new algorithm behind it. But that's only if you have the LDN controller. And then you can also kind of do batch inseminations and pregnancy checks. This is in data entry and daily entry. And then so here you can see that this farm's got 10 cows it needs to do a pregnancy check on. So obviously if you put in your insemination, once a certain number of days has passed, depending on what your settings are, it'll then tell you when they need a pregnancy check, and it brings them into here, just so you know, if you've got the vet come in, you can just go, okay, I need these numbers, you can write them down, pick out your cows, you know who needs that insemination check. And you can also put in kind of batch insemination. So say you've done, if you're block calving, you might inseminate quite a few cows on the same day. So you can also put in inseminations on the same day as well, just to make things a little bit easier for you. And then so to add in an insemination, you have to add in your sires. So this again is in libraries, and then once you kind of populate your libraries with the sires, you can add your size in here. You can then say which cows have been inseminated to which bull, so that it then kind of builds up that family history over time. If you breed from her daughter, say, you can find out who her mother and father were from going into her cow card. And then input and inseminations and pregnancy checks. So this is all, so from here, these two images are from her cow card. So most information for your cows is put in the cow card. Yeah, and you can see here, so on the first image, you can see she's AI'd, or if you've got a like bull running within your herd, your sire, we can add him in, and then you can say that she's been done by the sire. When she was inseminated, you can select the bull that you've used, just so that you've then got that information. And then adding in a pregnancy check is that the next step for her. So you can say the date that you did it on, the outcome of the pregnancy, and that's where you can add in your keep open cows. So if you've got a barren cow, go into pregnancy status and change her to keep open, so that she doesn't keep populating reports that you don't want to see her on. And you can say who's done it and any remarks you might want to add. And then once you've done that, once you've given her a pregnancy check, it'll give you an expected dry off date and an expected calving date, just so you and then that again populates more reports telling you kind of when, just reminding you to dry the cows off and that when she's going to calve. And as I mentioned before, an update on the LDN controller. So this kind of affects people that might have done the text to upgrade. There are a few changes that have happened. This is quite wordy, but it's hard to cut it down. Just I wanted everyone to knew what was going on. So obviously, because you put new collars on, it has to learn about the cows again. So you'll have a week to 10 days where you don't have any heat detection because it's still learning that cow's normal. And then after that time's passed, it'll kind of start to populate reports again. But it does kind of take up to 3 months to really learn about that cow. And obviously, the longer it is learning about the cow, the more accurate it's going to be. But it will pick them up after a week to 10 days, but it will be even more accurate after kind of 3 months of installation. And then the main thing that has changed is the little dot that moves on the report. So the dot now, once she hits her threshold, she'll come onto the report, and the little dot will start to move across. But if it thinks that she hasn't reached her heat peak yet, it might not start to move the dot, or if she peaks again, it'll move the dot backwards. So you may notice that a cow, kind of the dot's not moving as it normally would, and that's because it's got a new algorithm behind it. And it's waiting for her to kind of hit her like peak of heat, and then it will start to move the dot to try and improve your optimum moment of insemination, and her obviously then from that holding in calf and staying in calf. But that really kind of affects the people that have put in a LDN controller. And yeah, if anyone's got any questions, or if anyone wants to contact me about anything that I've said, feel free.
Thank you very much, Izzy. Did you pick up the question on the batch treatment?
I did not know.
Okay, so yeah, one of the questions come through is how do we put in a batch treatment to all cows, for example, vaccinations?
As far as I'm aware, that's not something that can be done yet. It's something that I have asked for it to be done as well, because obviously if you're treating your whole herd for BVD or whatever it may be, but that's something at the moment that we can't do.
Okay, maybe on one of our future updates.
Maybe. We'll have to wait till October.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, is there anyone who wants to unmute and ask any questions for Izzy? Or you could...
Hello, Izzy.
Chat.
Can I? It's Sally here.
Sally.
On the health report,
Yeah.
I get acute inactive when a cow's not well. and then I get a value, like a number. Is that hours, time, or is that just out of 100 how inactive she's been?
Yeah, so this is kind of like a new feature, and it's comparing her activity to the previous day. So it's kind of like out of 100 of how active she's been compared to the previous day.
Okay, that's fine. All right.
Yeah, I should have put that in as a new one. Yeah, sorry.
Don't worry. Also, sorry. How do you make? You'd got a cow medicine report you showed us, which shows. How do you make that? Is that a special that you have to pay for, or is that something that you just make up yourself? Or
I took that out the middle column. I will double check that you've got it. If not, I can make it for you. It was quite towards the bottom of the middle column of the reports. If you go on analysis reports, but I'll have a look to see if you've got it, and if not, it's something that we can make, no issue.
Okay, that's fine. All right, okay. Just one other, sorry to take over. The reproduction module, that's an extra, you said. Is that something we have to pay for then? And how much is it if we have to pay for it?
It is a optional extra. It's a one-off payment now, and obviously does all your robots. And I want to say it's about £270. I might be wrong. Right. I can come back to you with a proper price. But it is a one-off payment. It's not one that you have to keep paying for. And I can double check for you if you've got it. I'll let you know.
Okay. Lovely. That's fine. That's lovely. Thank you. That's me done, Sam. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. No, it's good. Keep the questions coming. Do we have any other questions out there? Here we go. We've got one.
And I'll just say quickly, our next webinar is on daily routines on the 15th of July. So that's going to be with Tom, our engineer in Wales, and he's kind of going to run through your daily routines of your robot and what you should be looking for and why you should be doing things and how it will help improve robot performance.
Brilliant. Yeah, that'll be a good one.
I've got a bit of a hi, Izzy and Lawrence, it's Ruth.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I think you might be able to do a batch treatment if you've got a report with all your cows on.
Yeah.
You can select. There's like those tick boxes where you can select like all the animals. If you select, so that there's a tick box in all of them, you can do like an action, a batch action, and in there I think you can do a treatment for everything, because that's how I do like the IBR and stuff. You can select all the cows and then do like a health treatment in there.
Oh, okay, thank you. Oh, I'm always learning things.
Oh, don't. I've been on it for ages. There's always stuff, isn't there? But yeah, so I think you can do it that way.
Oh, okay, thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. Yeah. We got another question. How compatible are the in-herd apps with T4C?
The apps are great. There was a lot of different apps. Obviously, depending on what you want to see, there is, and it depends what you want to use your apps for. But on the apps you can like add in an insemination or add in a pregnancy check. They all do all sorts of different things, but they are very compatible with T4C because it takes the information from your T4C onto your apps, and the two work together.
And is it instant transmission or is there a delay?
It should be instant. There might be a bit of a delay while it's playing catch up, but it is pretty instant, yeah.
And how many apps? Could you have 2 or 3 people with the app inputting data at the same time, or is it just one app per T4C license?
Yeah, you can have several people, say, on your farm with the apps. It isn't just one device. There's a little code on your T4C when you set it up, and that's how it knows what farm that you're linked to. But okay. I wouldn't know if 2 people, say, put in insemination at the same time. It should work and it should be fine, but I don't know anyone that does it like at the exact moment. Yeah.
And we've just had Sam, who's also part of the FMS team, put on the message, apps are great to put cows on milk now.
Yeah.
I put
Very
cows on
true.
milk now without going up to the office too.
Yeah, especially if you've got your robots one side of your farm and your computer the other, and you're forever walking back and forth. They are very good.
Yeah.
For that.
Yeah. Excellent. Do we have any more questions? Well, we've got Izzy.
But what I should say, the apps, you pay for them per device every 3 years. So that's a little bit of it. It's not kind of a one-off payment, but they are really good, and they do allow you to do more from within your herd. And then you're not forgetting to put in an insemination or put in a treatment. You know that it's been done there and then.
Great. Any more questions? No, I think you're going to get away, Izzy.
Brilliant.
Yeah, if anyone does, just you know where to find us. We've got the WhatsApp group. Questions can go on there, or you can come to any one of us and ask. And if we don't know, we'll find out. Yeah, as Izzy mentioned, 2 weeks' time, we've got Tom might even do a bit of live footage, possibly. But yeah, he's gonna be actually at the robot going through a few things, so we're quite excited about that. That's going to be good. And in the meantime, yeah, stay safe, everybody. Thank you for making the effort to come along. It's great having you here, and yeah, enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you very much, and thank you, Izzy.
Thank you, everyone.
Cheers, everyone. Thank you. Good night. Thank you.